Pleasure. I've been looking forward to this, Yolanda. I love doing anything with Yolanda. So
Great. Well, guys, Linda Fields, I've met a couple of years ago when I attended a conference in Kansas City at the IHOP, International House of Prayer. And I knew instantly when I met her that there was a connection. And I don't know, Linda, if I've ever shared this with you. After you were speaking at the conference, you know, when you speak, when you're up speaking or you're doing something and afterwards people want to talk to you. And I said, I need to connect with her, but it was tons of people coming up to talk with you. And I said, I'm just going to wait. If I'm supposed to connect with her, it'll happen naturally. And so I just stayed in my seat. And the next day, I think it was the last day of the conference, you walked up to me and you said, how long are you going to be here an extra day? And I said, yes. She said, I think we're supposed to connect. I said, look at God. He does it. He's the greatest hookup. He will connect you to the right people if we are patient and making sure that we don't just try to connect with anybody, but get those divine connections that God has for us, because what God has for us, it's for us. And we don't have to worry about, you know, pushing people over to get to someone, but God will naturally connect you. And Linda is a corporate trainer, and she's done it in corporations. She's done it at the university level. She leads her own company, Linda Fields International, and she also oversees the Joseph and Company at the International House of Prayer. And Linda, I want you really to share a little bit before we get started in talking about finding your wife forward. Talk a little bit about the work that you've done with Linda Fields International, because that work actually started years ago before you even arrived at IHOP. And I want the audience to hear a little bit about that. And then talk about the Joseph and Company, because I know those that have dialed in on the phone and that are on with us would love to know about that, because it's been a blessing in my life, and I know it'll be a blessing in theirs as well.
Well, I would love to do that. You mentioned Linda Fields International. That is my teaching consulting arm. And I guess whatever I've done through the years, it has been some type of teaching or consulting, helping people get in touch with their life vision, helping them learn business skills, maybe helping them do a business plan, or perhaps just helping them review their life desires and dreams and get some type of a workable plan for it. So I taught at the university level in Texas, south of Houston, and actually at Southwest Texas State for a number of years, and then later at Brazosport College in Lake Jackson, Texas. So 2 Texas institutions, and I loved that. What I loved about it was the ability to, in a Christian woman's heart, just pray about something, see God's will on it, and then work to make it happen. Yeah. And that's really what I actually love to do above all else. And so I do that whether I'm coaching, whether I'm training, or whether I'm consulting. The Joseph Company is a ministry of the International House of Prayer here in Kansas City that is targeted to people in the workplace. And we have events, about 5 events a year, and our big one is coming up in November. It's the one that many internationals come to, and we're just celebrating how men and women bring God's presence in the workplace. And so I think so many people have made that too difficult, harder than it really has to be. Yeah. And so we like taking some of the mystery out of that, helping people learn how to hear God about their vision and purpose, and understand that their calling counts in the marketplace. You don't have to quit and go get a full-time job at the church in order to be in ministry. So that's a little bit about that. But, we all have a common goal that's expressed usually in more than one arena. And so I love equipping men and women in the marketplace. So whether I'm doing it through my consulting, whether I'm doing it on an event like this or in the Joseph Company, that's what's at the heart of what I do.
Great. Thank you, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take a few minutes, and first I want to ask everybody, do they have their coffee and their tea ready and sitting comfortable in your home? You don't have to rush to a venue and try to find a seat. You just could go home and log in. So I wanted to make sure I want to check in with the 2 that were my first ones on. Let's see. Andrea, would you unmute yourself and say hello?
Hello, Yolanda. Hello, ladies.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. What made you want to come on today to hear Linda Fields and hear about her book?
Linda, Yolanda has been an inspiration to me. I've known Yolanda. She's getting bragging points. That's why she asked me first.
No.
Yolanda and I have known each other since junior high school.
I love that.
And we have not always been in touch, but we connected again when I started going to Bethel. And then when I started crocheting, I crochet as a business. Yolanda was the first person to offer me up her home to bring my product and bring some of her girlfriends over so that I could, let me fix my camera, so that I could share my gift. She's been the biggest proponent of my product. She pushes me. Whenever I get discouraged, I can always message her and say, okay, I'm stuck. What should I be doing? And right now she's on a task. I say it's her task, but it's our task. Because, if you know Yolanda, I don't know how she keeps up with everything that she does and everybody else, but she's assigned me a fashion show next year because my work is not the typical crochet work. I think it's a little better.
It is. Yes.
And yeah, so she encourages me. So I'm here because Yolanda said so.
I love it. Everybody needs a friend like that.
Yeah. And she's phenomenal.
Thank you.
I'm always over there trying to get free stuff. I be like, look, nobody wants this one, I don't think. I think that one was for me.
Trust and believe she's gotten some free stuff.
I believe it.
Thank you for coming on, and I'm just so proud and excited about what you're doing and that next level. And I think the book, Finding Your Why Forward, is really looking at what is that next level. You've done the individual selling, you've done the craft shows, and I believe in this season it's time to go to that next level. And I think when Linda shares about finding your way forward, you're going to get some tips and some strategies that's going to help you move forward to that next step. And I'm excited to see, I'm excited to see your stuff in a New York boutique.
Woo!
And when I go back to, France, take some with me, so it'll be in France. I'm excited. It's one thing when you see good product and you know it's good product and you can trust it, you want to share it with other people. And that's how I feel about the things that you make. And I didn't realize you so close, so I'm gonna have to come over there with some fabric and get you to make me some of those skirts. So you send me stuff and then I don't know what you think. I'm just going to say I like it and just let it go. I'm like, I need those skirts.
This is why I keep her around. This is why I keep Yolanda around. Yeah. She has been very inspirational to me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrea. Kim, I'm going to call on you too. You can unmute. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, and I appreciate you joining us today. And I wanted to just ask you, I've known you a long time, and I've just watched you be just a woman of excellence. And I just wanted to ask you, kind of when you saw the announcement of what we were doing tonight, what made you want to log in?
I was interested in going to another level in my life, and I'm just trying to learn and get the knowledge base in order to do so.
Great. Well, thank you guys. I see we have other people on. They may be on the phone or they're not showing on the screen, but we're going to continue to go forth, and I know people will continue to come in. Linda, well, let's start. I want to start by first just asking you, what made you write this book, Finding Your Why Forward? Where did this come from? And this is a copy of the book here, guys. It's Finding Your Why Forward. We always hear Finding Your Way Forward. So when I saw her title, Finding Your Why Forward, I was really excited to I got the book and started reading, and it's incredible. But just wanted to ask you, Linda, what made you write this book? Where did it come from? Your inspiration come from?
That is a great question. A lot of times some of our greatest work comes out of our greatest pain, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I found myself at a time after having had a successful career and a lot of things that went right. I found myself at a point in life where it didn't seem like anything was going right. And I had to do some real soul searching. I also found myself working with a writing coach. And I knew I wanted to get I'm all about the lessons, like mind the lessons, get the lessons out of the pain or out of whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And my coach said, Linda, he said, if you were going to write a book for the people you love, your friends, your family, if you knew that you were going to exit the planet and you wanted to tell people what you know, that you know, that you know, then put it all in this book. And so I thought, wow, what a challenge. A lot of times we separate things out. Like I do a lot of spiritual teaching, and then I do a lot of business teaching, and I do a lot of family type consulting with young women and mentoring and that kind of thing. But, here I brought everything to the table.
Yeah.
The spiritual, the business, the practical, the mentoring. And so in this book, which is very story-based because I like to learn from story, and it's not about you just hearing my story. I want you to be touched and moved by my story. But the real question is, at the end of that, so what does this mean for you? Yeah. And so the book is very application-based. But what made me write it was just kind of getting to a standstill in my life where I knew I needed to evaluate some things. There comes a time for all of us as women where you have gone through the paces, you've done what you could in terms of work and family, this, that, and the other. And then sometimes it's like the Lord just draws a line in the sand and says, okay, now let's kind of take stock of everything and let's see what it is that's important enough for you to put your hand to it the rest of your days.
Yeah.
So it was really a deep soul searching, Yolanda, that resulted in finding your why forward. Because if you don't know your why, that thing in your gut that God put there, that thing that how the Lord has made you to tick and to work and, what lights your fire, so to speak. If you don't know that about yourself, how can you possibly plug in effectively and help other people? So I think there's a caution with self-help type industry because, we can make the rest of our lives all about us, right? Mm-hmm. But I really believe that the important thing for a woman of God to do is to find out about herself, yes. But secondly, say, how does this plug into the rest of the world? How can I serve? How can I lift up? How can I move other people forward? And that's my prayer, Yolanda, that is what this work does.
Yes, great. Thank you. I know when usually people say find your way forward, and you talked a little bit about some of the reasons you wrote the book, but why did you choose find your why instead of find your way? I
think people get too consumed with the path. You can find a million books to tell you about the path to success, climbing the ladder to success, the system for this, the system for that. It's not about the system if you don't know who you are inside, if you don't know your why you exist, why God, why it is that God has wired you the way he has. Psalm 139 says, I knew you in your mother's womb. Yeah. I knew every day of your life before there was yet one of them. And it didn't say that every day would be great, but it said he knew what was ahead for us. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get derailed because they get so consumed with the way and the plan. And then guess what? It's never exactly going to go according to plan, is it? Amen? Exactly. And so when that happens, people have a huge chance for bitterness to set in. But I think we set each other up for success when we say, let's look at who God made you to be. Let's look at your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's your motivation? And let's get to the root of that. When we do so, then the way can twist and turn. It can even turn upside down on its head, but you are not knocked off your center because you're in touch with the why that God put within you.
Exactly. That's good, Linda. One of the things that I've seen people do when people are trying to move forward, they want to identify what they should be doing.
Yes.
Even, because we can be good at a lot of things. We can be good at, I know I have the capacity to do a whole lot. And just because you can do a whole lot doesn't mean you're doing it excellent. Mm-hmm. And so when you talked about finding that thing that you were born to do, being really specific and pinpointing what that thing is. And you can't have like 10 things that you're trying to do and you're going to be excellent at it. Mm-hmm. So give us about 3 tips that you would give someone that you're coaching if they have multiple things that they're working on and they really need to hone in on a couple of things and do those things excellent. How would you kind of walk that person through that process?
Actually, this is something I've been talking about a consulting group I manage here in Kansas City just this week. Uh-huh. And the term that came to mind, Yolanda, as we got into this subject about what do you do when you've got, 10 priorities and you're not really doing any of them very well. A lot of times I think we find ourselves in a state of what you call gridlock. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been in traffic where all of a sudden everything comes to a dead standstill and nothing is moving and it stays stuck? I mean, gridlock. And when that happens, it is so frustrating. And I've watched cars in Texas. I love how Texans drive. They'll jump the median, they'll go over, they'll make another path, they'll do whatever they can to get out of that stuck state. But mm-hmm. You know what? Sometimes you can't get out of it. Sometimes you are there. Everything is at a dead standstill and you are stuck. You're in gridlock. And I think that is when that condition occurs, and hopefully we can preempt it before that happens. But when that happens, it's like, okay, something has to give. You've got too many cars on the freeway. You've got too many vehicles in your mind, too many mission statements, too many things that you want to go do. And so something's got to come off the freeway. So what I tell people to consider is that all these 10 priorities that you would love to do, look at them like cars on the freeway. And let's just say these can't all travel on the freeway. We're stuck because there's too much traffic. So you've got to find off-ramps for some things. And the way I encourage people to consider that, I say, go ahead and just list all of your priorities. And find the top 3. No one can concentrate, and 3 is a lot. No one can really do more than 3 things excellently, I think, at one time with great focus as far as major priorities. And even that's a pretty tough order. But then if you've got 10 cars, 10 priorities, and you want to focus on 3, you find those 3, let them rise to the top. Mm-hmm. And then for the other 7, you're going to have to find off-ramps. You're going to have to either delegate. And a lot of people say, well, who do I delegate to? Maybe you should have trained an apprentice by now, or maybe you should train an apprentice to offload some of that. Maybe you need to move something to the back burner. It doesn't mean that you won't ever get back to it, but it means it's not for this season. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with putting a goal on the shelf in a holding pattern. And so by the time you decide, here's some things I don't even need to be involved in anymore. I'm just doing it because I felt obligated. My name's not even on this assignment anymore. Yeah. So quit some things, delegate some things, and then put some things on the back burner for another time. When you do that, you will free up your bandwidth to actually focus on the 3 that are top priority. And then the other thing you want to do right behind that exercise is to do an analysis of how you're spending your time. Because you know what we spend our time on and our focus on, those will be the things that get done. And so if we can't look at our calendar and our checkbook, or our calendar and our budget, and align our time and our money to the things that are top priority, then we're probably not aligned properly for success.
That's good. That is good. Anybody have any questions about what Linda has just shared? You can type your question, or you can let me know, and you can unmute you and ask your question. Okay, Linda, let's move on. One of the chapters that I have been really focused on is chapter 4, get a larger vision.
Yes.
Get a larger vision. Talk to us about getting a larger vision. Kind of what is that? What do you mean by that? Get a larger vision. If we have a vision and we feel like it's like bigger than we can really do on our own, then how do we get a larger vision?
Good question, Yolanda. Here's the thing. Have you heard people say, oh, it's not about you, it's about God. It's not about you, it's about God. Yeah. And then you hear other people and it's all about you. So you hear people saying both things. And guess what? It's all about you and it's all about God.
Uh-huh.
But until we understand all about us and plug that into an outward expression, then we don't have a large enough vision. So when I say get a larger vision, just to give a quick example, when I think about consulting, doing webinars like this, Yolanda, doing events to help people move forward with their lives, I envision who those people are going to touch.
Yes.
I envision the success of my clients. I envision the people who are going to be so excited to get off dead center. Because if I think about that and think, oh, look how many books I'll sell, look how many people are listening to me, that I will implode. I will become very self-absorbed and just implode and become consumed with me. That's what we don't want to do. So, yes, you do look at yourself. You spend a season getting your vision clear. But then right behind that, you say, Lord, how can I use this to impact the sphere of influence you've given me? And so getting a larger vision is when you go way beyond yourself. And I have a little video I'll be happy to send you, Yolanda, you could send to the group about how Esther did this. But, at a certain point, we have to think way beyond ourselves.
Yes. Thank you. One of the things that you just mentioned as you were sharing it, you talked about your sphere of influence. And I remember being at the conference and we really worked through what our sphere of influences are. And sometimes we don't think about what some areas that we do have some influence in that we're not tapping into at the highest level.
Right.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about how important it is to know your sphere of influence in the work in order to move forward.
Okay. I think there are basically 7 major spheres of influence in the earth. And basically, these are just the places where we interact with other people. For many, it's the family. It could be the mother who's at home raising her children, or it could be the father who's a homeschooling dad, or it could be even a person who's focused on family counseling. But their main arena of influence has all to do with the family. There's another one that has to do with entertainment and sports, and we call this the celebration realm. And I know you have worked with some people in that realm as well, Yolanda. Yeah. And another one is the arts scene. Media is another. Government is a big one, whether you're a city councilman, a governor, a president, or a senator, or somehow you just have government in your heart to be involved in government. Yeah. Another one would be business, and another would be education. And so teachers, principals, tutors. And so when you look at your life, you probably spend most of your time between 1 or 2 of those. Most people are not just all in one, but you may have 1, 2, or 3 of those that you say, this is really where I'm drawn. And this is where I either work or volunteer or spend most of my energy wanting to make a difference. So that's your sphere of influence with regards to the spheres of society. I think there are other spheres of influence that have to do with, there are other spheres that are important that have to do with your authority and have to do with a few other things, even geography and where God has you in the earth and the time you're on the earth. So it's a fascinating subject. But those 7 spheres of society are where we get to run in our power alleys.
Great, great. One of the things that I have realized is that you can even be in multiple spheres of influence and operate in those effectively. I've had to do that on multiple occasions, and sometimes it's to a benefit for whatever you're working on. And I want to encourage everyone that's listening and those that are online to really begin to identify what your sphere of influence is. Is it in the entertainment industry? Is it in business industry? Are you in influence in education, in ministry? And even in ministry, there can be some components in the ministry sphere of influence that it could be worship, it could be teaching, it could be preaching. Right. And so being able to sit down and write down, where do I have influence? And sometimes we don't even think we have that influence in different areas until we sit down and take some time to write those things out.
Good point.
Tell me, you are coaching a lot, and I knew that was part of the reason I was connecting with you is the coaching part. I've been coaching and training for years, and you've been doing it for many years. And one of the things that I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, is that we all need a coach. Anybody, if you think about even the the athletes that are famous and well known and are doing phenomenal in their fields of athletics, they had a great coach. Mm-hmm. And so for the work that we're doing, whether it's in business or whether it's a stay-at-home mom, whether it's a student, you need a coach. And so talk to me about what were the coaches like that trained you when you started out, and how did that impact how you're coaching other people today?
That's another great question. You're really good at this, Yolanda. I'm going to say that my mentor and coach most of my life was my dad. He was my hero. He lived to be 93 years old, was a very humble man. Mm-hmm. And my dad had a lot of hard things he went through in life. And so I'm just going to say, by virtue of the fact of the way he lived his life, he was a great coach. He was a dad, yes, but he coached me all of my life. Later, I worked with a writing coach by the name of Ramon Williamson, and he is incredible in the world of teaching social media, teaching internet coaching presence, and he was also my coach for Find Your Why Forward. So those are two that stand out. Other than that, I've had a mentor from my college days that impacted me greatly. My professor in business communication, Dr. Beverly Shido, Texas woman, sleeps with a life-size picture of John Wayne, a life-size cardboard. Wait a minute, I'm saying this right. Cardboard cutout standing at the foot of her bed, and a gun under her pillow. So she's Texas woman. But anyway, just different people that have lived life full out is what I'm saying, or have been those who've mentored me.
Great. I see Kim has shared her spheres of influence. She has family, entertainment, sports, art, media, government, business, and education. And Kim, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself for a minute and kind of talk to us about how you are touching those areas so people can understand how that actually works. I can't hear you. Let's see. Did you unmute yourself?
Actually, I was answering Dee's question. She was asked. She didn't get all of the 7 influences, and I was just.
Oh, I see. You were sharing those influences. Okay, I was like, Kim is doing it. She in all of them. She's like in the business. She's in the artist. She's in the media. Thanks for sharing those. I see. Hi, D. Lockett. I'm glad you're on with us. I see D asked for what was the 7. Thanks for sharing those with her. But so since I have you on, what is your sphere of influence? Where do you think your sphere of influence is?
My family.
Your family? Oh.
My family would be, my family, yes.
Okay. What about entertainment? I know you sing, so I'm going to put you in the entertainment. That's what people do. They put you in places. They just I told you that's what people do. They want you to be in a have a sphere of influence where they want you to be.
That is on my bucket list. So, okay. I haven't stepped in that arena as of yet, but that is on my bucket list.
Okay, so those steps that Linda talked about that's going to push you to that next level and moving forward. I want Linda to talk a little bit more about trusting your heart. I was reading the part in the book where you were talking about trusting your heart, and I also been reading Bishop Jake's books, Instincts, and so there's sometimes we know in our heart the things that we're supposed to be doing, and sometimes it's fear that stops us. So Linda, talk a little bit about in your book when you're talking about trusting your heart.
Okay, I'll do that. But let me say this. I've got a little message that popped up, says we have less than a minute left.
Oh, we do.
So we might need to do another meeting to continue this, or do it next time. I'll talk as long as you want, but I just thought to tell you I saw that.
Okay.
You don't want to give I call it your gut or it's basically the Holy Spirit speaking to us, those nudges. It's the knowing. Don't ignore that.